Hello Shiny viewers, I am DS, your psychologist, and welcome to another episode on Channel NITT. In this episode, we're going to compare INTJs and ENTJs in a social aspect. And that social aspect surrounds the topic of truth. So both the INTJ and the ENTJ, they really enjoy talking about what truth is. So naturally, the INTJ and the ENTJ are very interested in things like how did the human originate? Is there God? We would also be interested in things like, do aliens exist? Why do the Egyptians build the pyramid? So the INTJ and the ENTJ may read up about it, or they may go into the internet to get some resources about it. So they are similar in this aspect. But what makes them different is the social aspect to the pursuit of truth. So now that you have collected all these resources, you want to discuss it with someone. What does the INTJ do? The INTJ doesn't discuss. I think the INTJ learned it the hard way. They realize that most people, they are either very defensive or they are just plain not interested. Sometimes people may even use this against them, saying that they are weird or they are proud or they think that they are very high up there because they're very intellectual. So the INTJ armors themselves. I think if an INTJ has become matured, they tend to only have a very selective group where they will talk freely with other people about topics such as this. Because in any way, most people, they do not have any depth or substance enough to discuss these topics anyway. So INTJs may join specific groups like the space group or the astrology group or free thinkers, something like that, whereby there is a free discussion. Otherwise, if they do not have such a social backing, then they tend to keep information within a very select group of friends. If not, they just keep everything to themselves. So the INTJ does not like to be vulnerable with their feelings, but they also do not like to be vulnerable with information. For some strange reason, sometimes like discussing this kind of thing also makes them feel very exposed. But one of the main reasons is the INTJ as well as the ENTJ realizes that most human beings, they are just shallow, they're just not interested in other people's lives. They're just not interested in life in general, like how we originated. Most people just go about their life that way. They only might pretend to be interested, or they might think that discussing these kind of things is a waste of time. So if the INTJ tends to withdraw, what does the ENTJ tend to do? So as an ENTJ, my preferred method is to filter. So I will test with people whether they are receptive to even talk about this. Who knows, there might be a gem out there, right? So when introducing myself, I will say that I'm interested in this, maybe to a large group of people. And if someone is really the same and they are interested in this kind of topic, they would approach me to discuss this. But up to now, I think most people do not have any liking to discuss topics that are philosophical. When discussing topics that could be sensitive, INTJs tend to be very perceiving. This means that the INTJ will be quite neutral. Actually, the ENTJ is also very neutral. My premise is that you are entitled to your opinion. If you believe in Allah or if you believe in God, Jesus, yes, you are entitled to believe in it, but you do not invade into my beliefs. That means to say, you do not force me to believe what you have to believe, or you do not say that I am wrong, then you are right. I think most of the people, when it comes to discussing religion, they have this kind of a mentality whereby they have to defend their own religion to death. But both the INTJ and the ENTJ, regardless of whether we have a religion, we respect that other people have this privilege or have this entitlement to have their own personal beliefs that which may be different from ours. So maybe this is also one of the reasons that caused the INTJ to decide to retreat altogether, to avoid this kind of unpleasant conflict. But to start off with, the human being really is not a communicator. If you ask me what is language used for, I would say that language is actually not used for communication. Most people will say that, language allows us to communicate. One of the things that I believe about language is that language actually causes us to drift apart. And that could be consistent with the biblical story of the Tower of Babel, where God actually caused everybody to have different languages so that they are unable to communicate. In any case, while the INTJ withdraws, the ENTJ does not. The ENTJ is very courageous and strong-willed, and sometimes like to just test water to defend his fault. I want to know what type of person you are. I want to know whether you are weak. I want to know whether you know what you're talking about. I want to know how deep your love is for your religion. So I may test you. You can probe into me, you can attack me, but I am still the hard wall. And this sometimes get people very frustrated. And that is also why sometimes people retreat when they meet the ENTJ. So this is very different. The INTJ retreats voluntarily. The ENTJ stands still, the other people retreat. Okay, at our channel we produce a lot of INTJ and ENTJ videos such as this one. If you have enjoyed this video, do give us a like. If you have not already subscribed, do consider subscribing so that we can bring you more INTJ, ENTJ, MBTI and fun stuff. Okay, I'm going to sign off now and I'll see you in our next episode. Bye bye.